She was just a wonderful woman, wonderful mother, soon-to-be grandmother. She was just, even the family, everyone was just great.
Now at 5, as Metro Police announce an arrest in a mass shooting that claimed 6 lives. We're learning more about the victims whose lives were cut short to gun violence.
And we're not done yet. The colors of a wintry mix. What's working in our favor tonight and where the weather advisory goes on.
A new vaccination site opened today, and they have the capability of vaccinating hundreds of people each day. All of the details coming up.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5. Streaming now.
Obviously, this is just the first step in getting these victims and the family members justice.
Now first at 5, an arrest in the horrific mass shooting that happened Sunday on the city's northeast side. And we are learning he is no stranger to the victims. 5 people and an unborn baby were all killed inside a home on Adams Street early Sunday morning. A 16-year-old boy injured. 24 hours later, a family member arrested in connection with this case. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum has more.
We know IMPD detectives worked around the clock to make this arrest. At this point, they are not releasing the suspect's name or photo, only telling us he's under the age of 18. WRTV Investigates is learning more about that suspect, though. We've learned he is 17 years old and the son of a man killed in that home. The teen is accused of going on a shooting spree, killing his own family members, as well as a pregnant woman and her unborn child. This case, unlike anything IMPD has seen recently, more than 60 officers worked the case. We spoke with Rick Snyder, president of the Indianapolis Fraternal Order of Police, about it.
What you saw yesterday was the mayor step up and very forcefully say, we're going to get a handle on this very specific incident. We're going to bring folks to justice related to this incident. And he's occurring. We've got to have that same commitment on every instance of violence in our community.
We do know one member of the family survived that mass shooting. He is 16 years old and, according to police, still in the hospital recovering. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
And the 17-year-old suspect will more than likely be charged as an adult because state law does not require a minor facing murder charges to undergo a waiver hearing from juvenile court to adult court. And the victims have been identified as 42-year-old Kezzy Childs, 42-year-old Raymond Childs, 18-year-old Elijah Childs, 13-year-old Rita Childs, an IPS student, and 19-year-old Kira Hawkins and her unborn baby. WRTV was there as several people came by the home to pay their respects. They included longtime friends of Kezzy Childs, India Hammond, and Anastasia Dittman. Hammond says she spoke to a surviving son in the child's family. She says he and others are trying to cope as best they can.
Disbelief. I've been heartbroken since I heard it because this doesn't make sense. It's senseless. They're good people. I don't know why this took place. I don't know what led to it. I'm very sure people are going to assume whatever it is that they want to assume. But the bottom line is they didn't deserve this. They were good people. I know her heart. I know how she was raised. She was a good person. This was uncalled for.
Surviving family members were understandably not ready to speak. And Mayor Joe Hogsett hailed today's arrest as the first step towards justice. His statement also said in part, quote, "While nothing can bring back the child's family, I hope that the swift action of the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department offers some comfort to all of those who have been left to grapple with this tragic loss." And now to your storm team forecast on this alert day, and we've had just about everything: sleet, snow, and even some freezing rain in some parts. The temperatures are climbing, so that is some good news here. But there's still a winter weather advisory in effect where it's a little colder. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory joins us in studio.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, so the temperature is going to help us out. In the lower right-hand corner of your screen, you see the big 3. That's for Indianapolis, where temperatures now above the freezing mark. That's got the streets wet, and I think will be the case from Indianapolis south. Temperatures above freezing, not just this evening, but tonight. Some light freezing rain will continue north of Indianapolis on a line roughly from Lafayette to Muncie north. You can see the advisory will continue until about 9 o'clock tonight, then be reevaluated as temperatures north are still just below freezing. 31 in Kokomo, 33 in Indianapolis and Bloomington, 34 in Muncie. That's the view of what should be downtown from the Motor Speedway, but you can see it's blocked by this, the precipitation that we have. Some light rain, 33 degrees. You get to the north, that's a mixture of some light freezing rain, perhaps some snow mixing in there, maybe even some sleet. That's part of the system that's departing this evening. We'll have another come in overnight. There's your temperature trend, and notice all night long, temperatures steady just above the freezing mark to about 35 degrees. We'll take you through the next several days because the pattern stays active coming up.
A new massive COVID-19 vaccination site opened today in Fishers. Hundreds of people received their first dose of the Moderna vaccine at the facility near East 116th and Brooks School Road. The location is large enough to eventually provide vaccinations to more than 1,000 people a day. Our Alyssa Donovan explains.
Now that this vaccination site in Fishers is up and running, they'll have the capability of vaccinating up to 1,600 people a day here, but that all depends on supply.
Today we're vaccinating. That's what this is all about.
Once a Marsh supermarket, this 48,000 square foot warehouse has been transformed into a quick turnover COVID-19 vaccination site.
It was in pretty bad disrepair, to be honest with you. In under 14 days, they were able to turn it into this.
People receiving the vaccine on opening day, impressed with the facility and the service.
It was very well organized. Everybody that I encountered seemed to know what their expectations were and were very helpful.
Linda Van Viersen excited to receive her first dose of the vaccine.
I am. It's just, I want to get through this onto the next year and be able to spend some more time with your family and friends and more activities and get back to what we all consider a normal life.
Today, about 340 people are expected to receive their vaccines at the site.
We hope to do more as soon as more vaccine is available.
Right now, the state is allocating about 1,000 doses of Moderna a week to this location. But health officials say they're prepared for if and when those amounts increase. The goal is to eventually be inoculating 1,600 people here each day.
We understand that we do not have enough vaccine yet to fill this place up today, but we want to be ready for when that day comes. And the goal is to get those shots in arms as soon as they arrive. So that's what we're now well positioned to do.
In order to receive a vaccine at the site, you must schedule your appointment through the state's website. Right now, priority groups are seniors over 70, first responders, and healthcare workers. I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
As of this morning, more than 100,000 Hoosiers are now fully vaccinated and nearly 441,000 have received the first dose. Those 70 and older, first responders, healthcare workers, and those living in long-term care facilities are eligible to receive the vaccine right now. You can sign up by going to ourshot.in.gov or call 211. The state also reports 2,210 more Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. The results all recorded yesterday. 12 more Hoosiers have died with COVID-19, and those deaths occurred between Friday and yesterday. The number of Hoosiers hospitalized with confirmed or suspected cases of COVID-19 continues to fall. As of yesterday, there were 2,045 patients. That is the lowest number in more than 2 months, when there were 2,036 COVID-19 patients on November 6th. And there's one less drug maker in the race to create more COVID-19 vaccines. Merrick is giving up on 2 potential vaccines following poor results in early stage studies. The company will instead focus on 2 possible treatments for the virus that have not been approved yet by regulators. And in about 2 hours, House lawmakers will send an article of impeachment to the Senate, charging former President Trump with the incitement of insurrection at the Capitol. The move will set in motion President Trump's second impeachment trial. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze is on Capitol Hill with the latest.
Just weeks after the deadly attack on the nation's capital, the House is set to send a single article of impeachment to the Senate, charging former President Trump with inciting the insurrection and paving the way for his second impeachment trial.
It makes no sense whatsoever that a president or any official could commit a heinous crime against our country and then defeat Congress's impeachment powers by simply resigning.
Democrats say the president must be held accountable for encouraging his supporters to march on the Capitol as a joint session of Congress was confirming the Electoral College vote.
If you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
And then standing by, tweeting unfounded claims of voter fraud and targeting Vice President Mike Pence as pro-Trump rioters stormed the building shouting this. A source tells ABC News senior Democratic Senator Patrick Leahy will preside over Trump's Senate trial, not Chief Justice John Roberts. That's because the Chief Justice only presides when a sitting president is impeached. The trial is expected to begin the week of February 8th. At least 17 Republican senators would need to join Democrats to convict the former president. A conviction could open the door to a second Senate vote, barring Trump from running for federal office again.
As I look at the Constitution, it says that impeachment is for removal and keeping someone from running for office again.
The upcoming trial is already exposing rifts in the Republican Party.
First of all, I think the trial is stupid. I think it's counterproductive.
ABC News has confirmed reports Trump tried to replace his acting attorney general with a Trump loyalist who was willing to help him overturn the 2020 presidential election results. The Department of Justice Inspector General is now investigating the claims.
I think it's pretty clear that over the last year or so, there has been an effort to corrupt the election in the United States, and it was not by President Biden, it was by President Trump.
Senators will be sworn in as jurors here tomorrow, but both sides will have 2 weeks to prepare for the trial. Now, that could buy President Biden some time to get more of his cabinet picks confirmed. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Another reversal of a Trump policy. Today, President Joe Biden signed an executive order lifting the ban on people who are transgender from joining the military. The order also prohibits any service members from being forced out of the military on the basis of gender identity. A former member of the Trump administration is not done with politics. Today, former White House press secretary and Republican Sarah Huckabee Sanders officially launched her campaign for governor of Arkansas. She made the announcement in a video posted to Twitter. Her father, Mike Huckabee, held the same position from 1996 to 2007. The current governor, Asa Hutchinson, cannot run again due to term limits.
Really important because there's such a complex information ecosystem that we're navigating through literally all day long, and we want people to be able to know how to navigate it.
Fact versus fiction. It's sometimes hard to tell the difference when scrolling through your timeline or news feed. Still ahead, we are taking a look at what news literacy is and why it's important to helping you navigate news in 2021.
And with some additional light freezing rain, that advisory continues north of Indianapolis. A closer look at that and where big snow is falling tonight. That's coming up.
$8 drain cleaning special.
An overnight homicide on the city's Far East Side is under investigation. Police were called around 2:30 this morning to Redskin Place near 30th Street and German Church Road. When officers arrived, they found one person shot. Medics rushed the victim to the hospital where the person later died. Police have not released any more information so far. 78 men and women took their oath to protect and serve the citizens of Indianapolis today. This is IMPD's 22nd recruit class. This ethnically diverse group of recruits will now receive 26 weeks of classroom and scenario-based training, as well as 20 weeks of field training. An emphasis will be placed on communication and de-escalation skills, along with learning to recognize mental health issues. And this week marks the second National News Literacy Week, where WRTV's parent company, EW Scripps, is partnering with the nonprofit News Literacy Project out of D.C. The goal is to bring awareness that news literacy, spotting misinformation and verifying facts, is an essential life skill. WRTV's Nikki Dementri, with help from the News Literacy Project, is breaking down what news literacy is and why it's so important to you.
We live in the most complicated information landscape in history, and we know that that can be confusing. There's so much information coming at us at all times, and so it is critically important to be able to discern what information is real and what information isn't real.
When I say the words news literacy, what all does that mean?
Our tagline is for a future founded on facts. So being news literate is really the ability to be able to discern what's true and what is not true.
Fact versus fiction. With so many ways to consume news in 2021, it can get confusing.
How we look at fake news is it's actually oxymoron, right? Because we understand that news media and standard-based journalism practices means that things are vetted.
Ebony Rice is the vice president of the Educator Network with the News Literacy Project. She says being news literate is an essential life skill.
It just could not be more important than right now. And we have seen the consequences of misinformation and disinformation being spread online.
Throughout the pandemic, news consumption took over hours of our days as we tried to figure out the latest in this changing world. It was also a time, Rice adds, misinformation ran rampant.
We've really spent the last year really just navigating this very complicated ecosystem, and not just of misinformation online, but also reading that and being consumed with it while you're at home.
That's why Rice says it's critical to know where news comes from.
You should really be getting your news from fact-checked, standard-based news stations.
It's also important to know the difference between national, state, and local news. Each player has a different focus sometimes on the very same topic.
The importance of localized press, local newspapers, and local journalists could not be overstated, and that's for a number of reasons. And one is one of those differences is having people who are in the community tell stories of that community that reflect that community.
The hope this week is to educate and inform. Let our fellow Hoosiers know why news literacy is an essential life skill as well as essential to a successful democracy. So follow along as we continue to share stories throughout this week from our very own home newsrooms. In Indianapolis, Nikki Dementry, WRTV.
And our coverage during National News Literacy Week continues tomorrow on Good Morning Indiana. We take a look at kids and social media and find out how our youth navigate social media and if what they're seeing is accurate. Kevin, we need an accurate forecast right now.
I think I've stunned you. I'm here. I'm in the studio.
I haven't been with you in person in a while.
Yeah, so we're social distancing, obviously, but I've been basically at home in my Avon studio since last March, and it's bad weather that brings me in. So when you see me here,
it's been the first time that I've actually been looking forward to bad weather just because I get to spend time with you, Kevin.
She is so kind. Temperatures, they're in the low 30s. That's key. 32, we'll take it because temperatures below freezing would spell more trouble on the roadways. Not only is the air temperature gradually coming up, but road surfaces as well starting to warm up. 35 in Bloomington and Terre Haute, 33 in Lafayette. It gets a little more tricky straight up 31 Tipton toward Peru. Need to watch those bridges and overpasses. The advisory for additional light freezing rain and the complications of that from Lafayette through Frankfort, Tipton, Anderson, and Muncie North. That's until 9 o'clock. We'll keep our eye on that, whether it goes a little bit later. Chicago is in for 5 to 8 inches of snow, it looks like. Portions of Iowa will see more than that. Close-up view then of the advisory that goes until 9 o'clock tonight. It's what you cannot see here that tells the story. Trying to see from the Motor Speedway to downtown Indy. We've got a light drizzle or mist. It's a cold drizzle, temperature right at 33 degrees. Okay, all in the last hour or so, it's kind of flared back up. This is light, but we had the kind of more intense bursts of sleet, snow, and some freezing rain late morning to early afternoon. All of this is going from southwest to northeast. The snow, which will be heavy, some spots could see 12 inches in central Iowa. As I mentioned, Chicago, 5 to 8 inches of snow, certainly their biggest storm so far this winter. For us, between now and tomorrow morning, there's the parade of light showers. In some cases, could be some light freezing rain north of Indy, but we're talking about a few hundredths of an inch of any ice accumulation, so shouldn't be too troublesome. During the overnight hours, temperatures pretty steady, right around freezing or above. 39 tomorrow. We'll watch for some light snow potentially Wednesday, especially in the southern half of the state. Thursday, we get some sunshine back into the picture. Here's your 7-day forecast. Temperatures over the next 7 days bounce around a bit, down to 19 Thursday morning. That's after some light snow Wednesday. Could be some light accumulating snow as well. Then the next storm system, after a couple dry days, moves in for the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, rain becomes likely, could be mixed at times with some snow, but predominantly rain, as we get a 41-degree temperature Saturday and then 38 or so on Sunday. Amanda?
Thank you, Kevin. The White House has gone to the dogs once again. The first dogs have arrived at their new home at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. German Shepherds Champ and Major joined the Bidens yesterday. They were out playing on the South Lawn today. It's a return to the tradition of presidential pets. The Trumps did not have any. Champ has been with the Bidens since 2008. Major is a rescue who was officially adopted in November 2018 after the Bidens fostered him. The Super Bowl is now less than 2 weeks away. Still ahead, we might have some disappointing news for those who tune in primarily for the commercials. We'll explain what will be missing.
Say insulation.
For the first time in nearly 40 years, there'll be something missing from the commercials so many people tune in to watch. You will not see any Budweiser ads. The spots, often with the iconic Clydesdales, have become a fan favorite at the Super Bowl. But this year, Budweiser says it's shifting the money it would have spent on a commercial to support COVID-19 vaccine awareness with donations and future ad campaigns. A spot for the game is reported to be $5.6 million. Meanwhile, Anheuser-Busch's other brands like Bud Light and Michelob Ultra will air 4 minutes of ads during the February 7th game. Still ahead on the news at 5:30, itching to travel again? What you need to know about some new rules if you plan to leave the country.